Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tribhuvana Kare Jar Charana Bandham, to whom all the three worlds offer prayers at his lotus feet. Nilachale Shankha Chakra Padda Nilachale Shankha Chakra Gada Padda Dhar Nadiyana Gare Danda Kamandalu Kar. In Nilachala, in Jagannath Puri, he holds conch, disc, club and lotus flower. But after being born in Nadia, he holds a sannyas stick and a sannyasi's kamandal, water pot. Keho bale pura bete, Ravan badhila, golokera bhaivav lila prakash karila. Some say that previously he killed Ravana. And previously he demonstrated, he revealed the glorious pastimes of Golok. So in other words, previously he has appeared as Rama and as Krishna. Shri Radhar Bhave Ebe Gaura Avatar. He has now descended in this golden form with the feelings of Radharani. Hare Krishna Nama Gaura Kalila Pracha. And Caitanya Mahaprabhu has preached the Hare Krishna Nama mantra. Vasudeva Ghosha Bale Kari Jor Hat. Vasudeva Ghosh, the author of this song, says with hands folded together, Jai Gaur, Shri Krishna, Shri Jagannath. Who is Gaur? He is Krishna. He is Jagannath. So it's a very simple and sweet song. Jaya Jaya Jagannatha Sachirananda. Jaya Jaya Jagannatha. Jaya Jaya Jagannatha Sachirananda. Tribhuvana Kare Jar Charana Bandhan. Tribhuvana Kare Jar Charana Bandhan. Nilachale Shankha Chakra Gada Padda Dhar. Nilachale Shankha Chakra Gada Padda Dhar. Nadiya Nagare Danda Kamandaluka. Rabona Badhela Golokera Bhaivav Lila Akasha Karila. Shri Radhara Bhavebe Gaura Avatar Hare Krishna Nama Gaura Harila Prachara Vasudeva Koshabali Kare Jauraha Jai Gaura Shri Krishna Shri Jagannath Jai Gaura Shri Krishna Shri Jagannath Jaya Jaya Jagannatha Satchidananda Jaya Jaya Jagannatha Satchidananda Vibhuvana Hare Jaya Jagannath Vibhuvana Hare Jaya Then Parama Karuna Pahundri Jama. We'll sing this first and I'll explain it later. Parama Karuna Pahundri Jana Nitai Gora Chandra Parama Parama Karuna Pahundri Jana Nitai Gora Chandra Sabhi avatar sar shiromani kevala ananda kanda Sabhi avatar sar shiromani kevala ananda kanda Bhaja bhaja bhai, Caitanya Nitai, Sujira Vikasa Hari. Bhaja bhaja bhai, Caitanya Nitai, Sujira Vikasa Hari. Shaya Chariya Shaya Shaya Majiya Mukhe Ganga Hari Hari Shaya Chariya Shaya Chariya Shaya Shaya Majiya Mukhe Ganga Hari Hari Shaya Chariya Dekore bhai tribhuvane nai monadoy data. Dekore bhai tribhuvane nai monadoy data. পশু পাখি ঝরে পাষাণ ভিতরে শুনি যার গুণগাথা। পশু পাখি ঝরে পাষাণ ভিতরে শুনি যার গুণগাথা। সংসারে মজিয়া রহিলে করিয়া সে পদে রহিল সংসারে মজিয়া রহিলে করিয়া সে পদে রহিল আপনা করম ভঞ্জায় সমনা কহে লোচনদা। আপনা করম ভঞ্জায় সমনা কহে লোচনদা। পরম করুণা বন্ধু জনন সাই পরম করুণা বন্ধু জনন সাই চন্দ্র। Nitai Gaurachandra, Nitai Gaurachandra. This song which we just sung is by Lochandas Thakur, praising Caitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. Today we are celebrating the appearance of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is always associated with his great devotees, beginning with Nityananda Prabhu, who is Balaram. Brajendra Nandan Jai Shachi Shuta Hailo Shai Balarama Hailo Nitai. Who is Krishna is now Gaura. Who is Balaram is now Nityananda. Golok hote nadi ai shei to esheche. From Golok they have come to Nadia. They have come. So they are praised as the most merciful. Any religious system praises God as merciful. Isn't it? We expect mercy from God. But the most merciful is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda. Even considering all the Vishnu forms, even considering Krishna himself, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is most merciful. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Daya Katha Karaha Vichar. Vichar Korile Chitte Pabe Chamatkar. If we consider what is the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we will simply be astonished, because he is giving the highest and the rarest most difficult to attain. Love of God to the most fallen people. That is mercy. Mercy means something undeserved. So the most merciful is he who gives the greatest gift to the least qualified. That is Caitanya Mahaprabhu, who gives the highest love of Krishna to people in Kali Yuga, so disqualified. This is the mercy of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda. They're together. They are the best of all the avatars. Of course, all the avatars are Krishna. They're not different. But this form is most merciful. And one very special feature is that the path he gives, not only is he giving the best thing to the least qualified, but the path that he gives is simply joyful. Generally in religious processes, it's considered that because we are sinners, we have to do something, we have to have some suffering. We deserve some suffering. There's even some idea that God came to this world and got nailed up and killed, and God is suffering. A frightening idea that God even has to suffer. But Krishna, we don't see him suffering. Krishna is always joyful. And he comes to this world to show what it means to be happy. Everyone wants to be happy, isn't it? Some people, they like to, you don't get it so much in India, but in Ireland you get a lot of people like that. People who like to make an argument just for the sake of an argument, especially in Dublin. So, whatever you say, they'll say something opposite. So for those who say, no, I don't want to be happy, we have one experiment for them. You hit them on the head with a hammer. You don't want to be happy? Alright, well, it's an axiom. Everyone wants to be happy. Not only every human, even every living being. The fly is flying around looking for some open wound. For him that is happiness. For him or her, to use modern language. Could be a female fly also. The mosquito. Remember what those are in India? You don't get them much into that. They're looking for some nice blood. And they're thinking, this is very nice. So everything that everyone, every living being down to the worm does at every moment is only for the sake of happiness, but no one is happy. You can see in Dubai, you look around, all the people, everyone has come to Dubai, what for? Because they think they'll have a happier life. Just go outside, just see, no one's happy. Everyone's miserable. Somewhat civilized way of being miserable, but miserable nevertheless. Caitanya Mahaprabhu comes to give us real happiness, which we cannot imagine. For people whose understanding of happiness means to buy a new sari, or to have another color of nail polish to put on your nails, or to have a bigger car than the person in the next apartment. Caitanya Mahaprabhu comes to show what is actual happiness. Not just to show, but to give us bliss. He doesn't say, we are sinful. So what does he say? To whip yourself? Or take on great difficulties or suffering, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, sing the names of Krishna, dance and take prasadam. This is, what should we do? All our lives we've done so many sins, and so many lives we've been performing sinful activities. And what does Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says? Chant Hare Krishna, dance, be happy and take prasadam. This is the most merciful incarnation. He doesn't see the wrong that we have done. He just says, well, just forget all that. Chant Hare Krishna and be happy. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. And actually, everyone all over the world can be attracted to this. Krishna consciousness is simply joyful. Singing, dancing, taking nice prasadam, festivals, beautiful temple worship, everything nice and bright and happy, and not the artificial happiness of this material world. The people are happy, they're trying to be happy, but it's sad to see how they're not actually happy. Whatever happiness is there, it's all superficial. But the real happiness, the happiness of the soul in connection with Krishna, that is given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So be happy in Krishna consciousness. How is that possible? Bhaja bhaja bhai Chaitanya nitai sujira bishasako. Worshipping Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. How do we worship Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Yagyai sankirtana prayer yajantihi sumedasa. By Sankirtan Yagya we worship Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. No difficult processes. You don't have to. Of course, sometimes we do yagyas and abhisheks and all this kind of thing, but it's actually not required to learn many difficult mantras and many different procedures. Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is fully worshipped simply by chanting Hare Krishna. Even if we don't know any shlokas or mantras or yantras or tantras, or if we just chant Hare Krishna with faith in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that is better than performing millions of yagyas. And anyone who thinks differently, they are sinful. According to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Koti Ashrameda Jagya Ek Nam, what is that? Eka Nam Ashram, Shetu Pashande Dande Tarajam, something like that. So this chanting of Hare Krishna is the essence of all religious processes. Sarva Jagya Hoite Krishna Nama Jagya Shah. The essence of all yagyas is chanting Hare Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives that. So simply have faith in this process given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now just one thing, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he doesn't ask us to do any difficult austerities, but there is one consideration. Vishaya Charya. Shirashe Majya Mukhe Balo Hari Hari. We can actually enter into the bliss of chanting the holy names of Krishna when we give up sense gratification. So that is also required. There's no question of the actual bliss of Krishna consciousness if we're still trying to enjoy this material world. We can't have both things. We can't have love of Krishna and try to be happy on the sensual platform. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Bhukti mukti sprihayavat pishachi hridi vartate tarvat bhakti sukhasyatra katama bhyudayo bhaved. Rupa Goswami, the chief follower, there are several chief followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, has given this example that as long as the witches, pishachis, of desire for material enjoyment or liberation are there within the heart, then how can there be the happiness of bhakti? They don't go together. We can't be materialistic sense enjoyers and also love Krishna. It doesn't work. So therefore, it's also required to understand why we are doing what we are doing. We should chant Hare Krishna with faith, but that faith becomes very solid if we understand what is the name of Krishna, why we are chanting, who is Krishna. So for this it is also required to hear about Krishna, understand about Krishna. This process is given by Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yogam Shikshartam Eka Purusha Purana Shri Krishna Caitanya Sharira Dhari Kripam Buddhya Yastamaham Prapadye. Caitanya Mahaprabhu, he teaches the process of bhakti. Teaches means that is to be brought out. We're all devotees. Everyone is a devotee of Krishna, but that has to be brought out. So that education is required. That education in Krishna consciousness, that is accompanied by Vairagya Vidya. Vairagya means not being attached to this world. Vidya means knowledge. You all know this. So, chanting is a very simple process. But it's also required to become detached from the so-called happiness of this world. And we can do so if we are in knowledge of what is the nature of this world and what is the nature of the spiritual world. So this education is required, and practical renunciation from this material world. Because we're not saying that Caitanya Mahaprabhu also never said that one has to perform difficult austerities or give up everything in this world, but one should not have the ambition to be happy in this material world. That very idea that I shall be happy in this world cuts us off from Krishna. So Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yogam Shikshartam Eka Purusha Purana. Yes, so this Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, the greatest scholar of his day, he praised Caitanya Mahaprabhu in this way. So that bliss of Krishna consciousness, that can be there when we're fully surrendered to Krishna, when we're not cultivating other desires. If we're thinking, I can be happy in this material world, then we cannot get Caitanya Mahaprabhu's full mercy. So everyone should go on chanting Hare Krishna, and at the same time studying Srila Prabhupada's books, hearing about Krishna, in a manner that will increase our attachment for Krishna and decrease our attachment to this material world. That will automatically come by studying Srimad Bhagavata, hearing the message of the Gita and the Bhagavata. So further consideration of Caitanya Mahaprabhu's glories and mercy in this song is there. Vishaya Charisuri Mukhe Balai. Dekore, just see. In all the three worlds, you can examine, there are so many great people, so many merciful people, so many good people. Not so many nowadays. But we see recently there was this Mother Teresa of Calcutta was very much praised for her welfare activities, but is nothing compared to the merciful activities of Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Picking people off the street after they've lived there all their life and taking them into our home for the last few days before they die is actually not very helpful to anyone. And then of course if they recover, then they're out on the street again. But Caitanya Mahaprabhu, the mercy he gives is of a completely different quality. People who think that they are helping others by improving their material situation, they're in a big illusion. We cannot actually help anyone on the material platform, or even if we can, it's an insubstantial and inconsequential kind of help. Something like, you may know that in the gas chambers for the Jews and others, which were very efficiently organized by the Nazi regime in Germany, which still in Europe they're still talking about it as if it happened yesterday. So they had a program that as they marched the people to be gassed to death, they would have a nice orchestra playing music for them. So this is like welfare work in the material world. We have to suffer, and there's a nice orchestra playing. You're sentenced to be lashed, 50 lashes of the whip. But never mind, you can choose your music, you see. You'll have nice music, whatever music you want, you can have it played. So this is like welfare work in the material world. The material world is by nature miserable, and there's nothing that anyone can do to stop that. It's the very nature of this world. So to offer welfare in terms of this material world, it's actually ludicrous and misleading. So real welfare work is to first of all understand what is the situation of this material world and get out of here. But Caitanya Mahaprabhu doesn't just get us out of here, but he takes us all the way to the topmost part of the spiritual world, where there's simply pure bliss in love of Krishna. So, there is no more merciful person than him. And it was practically seen during his pastimes that the birds and the animals would cry, the stone would melt in appreciation of Caitanya Mahaprabhu's qualities. You can still see where the stones have melted, his footprints. His heart is so soft that even the stone would melt at the touch of his lotus feet. So, this song, very short song, says that, Lochandas, the author of the song, says that, I am still trying to enjoy this material world. I still didn't have attraction to Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Of course, Lochandas is a great devotee, but that is the nature of pure devotional service, that pure devotees don't think that I'm a devotee at all. So he feels that I'm being punished in this material world by not having attraction to this, because of my sinful activities. So we should feel like this. If we don't feel attraction to Caitanya Mahaprabhu, we should know that this is due to our sinful activities. Sinful activities means anything that we do for our own self-enjoyment that cuts us off from Krishna. So there are many beautiful songs about Caitanya Mahaprabhu. This is a very famous song. We don't have much time now, but we should make time. This modern life is artificial. Simply working. So, better lives this Caitanya Mahaprabhu's representative, who brought Caitanya Mahaprabhu's mission to the whole world, Srila Prabhupada. He wanted to make communities in which we can live simply. We don't have to work How many hours is the average working week here? 50, 60? 50? 40? No, more. Officially 40. Anyway, whatever it is, it's too much. That's for sure. You don't have to. Actually, human life is meant for singing about Krishna. That should be our main engagement. So we don't have to live like this. So Srila Prabhupada had this very good idea. Live on the land, produce your own food. You may not have electric lights and electric fans, but you have time to sit and chant Hare Krishna. So some of you are heading toward that way. So this is how you should raise your children. Instead of your children having big piles of books on mathematics, physics, they can have all different songbooks and learn that and sing their way back to the spiritual world. You can have the spiritual world here also. You go to a place where everyone is always singing about Krishna. Would you like to live in such a place? Yes. So that's what we should do. Make that. Singing, if you go in your office and sing about Krishna, they won't appreciate it very much, I think. We should be in a place where if we're not singing about Krishna, that will be considered something wrong with you. And there should be such places. So we should make these communities so we can spend our lives singing about Krishna, living with devotees of Krishna, being absorbed in Krishna. This is what Caitanya Mahaprabhu came to give us. Unfortunately, there's no time now. So we'll finish here. And tomorrow we can also continue on this theme. Hare Krishna.
Gaur Purnima Mahotsav ki